Hey everybody, I was thinking about something I've been thinking about off and on since I experienced it when I had jury duty about a year ago, maybe close to 2 years ago. But anyway, I think about one part of the case. It was a case where a girl was being molested by her grandmother's boyfriend, and the part the part that bothered me the most was that the guy was facing two charges. He was facing charges of all the molestation up until she was 16, and then she said at 16 that he raped her. And what bothered me the most was that, and it was a jury of mixed races and everything, men and women. And what bothered me the most was that they were so quick to say, because the girl right now, she's probably like 5'9", something like that, 5'8", 5'9", so kind of a taller girl. And the guy was an older guy now, smaller and thin and everything. And what bothered me the most was that they debated and almost said it was, ridiculous that he could have raped her now. And I thought about all the different stories. I had watched documentaries and different movies and stuff, and how, you know, how it was possible for it to still happen to people who were older than 12 or 13 when it had been happening since she was like 6 or 7, I believe. So if you've been kind of conditioned to have that happen, and you tell people and they don't believe you, and you try to stop it but you can't stop it, I I could see how that could still happen no matter what age she was, because at some point she conceded that I could I could just let it happen and it'll be over with. Since she couldn't leave, she tried to run away and stuff. It didn't work out. She tried to go live with her parents and it didn't work out, and she had no other alternative. So I'm not saying that it's not possible, because I think with my mind being 16 or whatever, I would have had a different thought process. But that's because I wasn't groomed to be that. I wasn't conditioned to be, a victim all that time. And it bothered me because like it was so laughable, like, oh, there's no way it happened. And I'm like, it pointed to not just the fact that she had been conditioned, but also to the fact that we don't understand, many people don't understand a lot of things past the parameter that we understand them. And what I mean by that is in terms of rape, or in terms of racism, also is another one. But in terms of rape, people, I remember in the 90s where the TV show Different World had an episode where they were talking about date rape. And also around that time, the movie What's Love Got to Do With It came out, and it was talking about spousal rape with Tina Turner and Ike Turner, and how people were like, "Oh, it's impossible to rape your wife, and it's impossible, date rape. Oh, she shouldn't have went there. She shouldn't have went to whatever hangout spot they went to or whatever." And people had the hardest time rationalizing that you could still be raped by people who don't treat you bad all the time, people who profess that they love you or they like you, and it could still happen. Because we only see rape as some guy jumping out the bushes with a knife or something like that, and that happens, and that's just as damaging as the other one. It's a terrorizing act. And I think that to have such a small mind about things like that, it was disappointing that people could only see it one way. It's not rape because clearly she's bigger than he is. But I mean, when you're a kid, everything seems larger than life. Even a small bedroom when you're 6 or 7 years old, when you go back as an adult, it seems, as a kid it seems huge, but when you go back as an adult it seems very small and very, very minuscule in scale. Likewise, if you've been conditioned for this person, conditioned all this time, and this person has been an authority over you, their appearance in your life is much bigger than their physical appearance. psychologically, I believe. So, I mean, it bothered me in the case of that girl. But even in the case of, like I said, racism, people only think that it's only racist if there's a cross on your lawn burning, or it's only racist if they yelling out the N word while they're driving down the street or punching you in the back or throwing stuff at you. There's nuances to all of this, and all of it is not great. It's bad. So it bothers me. I think about that from time to time because in the jury, we ended up convicting him of the years of molestation, but not for the rape. And I thought that to have it so easily dismissed, the rape part, was it was troubling to me because it wasn't a violent, he grabbed her and beat her up or nothing. It wasn't a violent thing, but it was a rape. By definition, it was. And the girl said that, and they were so quick to say, "Oh, it couldn't happen." But I'm like, so you believe that these two incidents aren't related to one another? So she can go all these many years being assaulted and all that, and it has no bearing on her when she's 16. That has no bearing on the probability that it could happen. And that's the troubling part. The troubling part was that it was people that could have been my neighbor, coworkers, whatever. They were so quick to just dismiss this girl, and I'm like, and I'd be extremely unempathetic if I didn't consider the fact that people have been saying for a long time that black women are mistreated and over sexualized and given the bum end of the deal, especially when it comes to ownership of their body and the sexuality and all that. So factoring those things in there, to hear them just dismiss it like, "Oh, it's not," I'm like, so now we do the same thing. It's not the same thing, but we do a similar disservice to her by just saying that, "Oh, it's impossible. She shouldn't have been there. She could have picked that guy up and beat him up or whatever." Yeah, under normal circumstances, possibly. But these were very abnormal circumstances, and it bugs me because I think about those things, and I was thinking about, what is it comparative to? What is it, and I thought, the closest thing that I could kind of compare it to, not the rape and all that, but just in general, being a young, I said black girl because that's what I know about. I'm black, so I talk about the black experience. Being a young black girl, it kind of equated to how they say fame can be. Everybody wants you for one reason or another, and they're willing to give you or do anything to get you to get you to go with what they want you to do. You're not quite sure what's the right path to take. Everything is so exciting. You get to do a lot of fun stuff. People give you free stuff. People want to meet you. They want to know your name. They want to get in contact with you. They want to hang out. They want to, do everything they can to get you on their side because you have something that they want, some big attraction. And there are things that you can do during that stage when you first get famous. NBA players have this happen. Well, a lot of sports players have this happen where you involve yourself in some poor financial decisions, and it kind of messes you up for a number of years. Some people never recover from that. Or musicians, you find yourself, in the crowds of people who want to do drugs and hard drugs, and you find yourself in a position where it affects yourself temporarily or even for the future. And it's the same, for me, from the outside, again, being a young black girl. And I'll say again, a young black girl, just because I'm black and I've seen that experience where everything is coming at you because, oh, you're pretty or you're cute. And, it's probably the same for, thinking more about it, it's probably the same for, many people of color, just thinking back high school and stuff. I don't know about, for white people. I imagine it's probably the same, on the same wavelength, because the same mentalities can cross racial lines. It's not a huge barrier, but everybody wants you. They want you to, come to my party or come hang out, and then if something were to happen, now it's your fault. Now you should have known better. Now you should have made better decisions. You should have, but it's hard. Not that it's the same as, the first topic I was talking about where the girl was basically conditioned, but it's difficult to to navigate that type of attention, and it messes with you. It's difficult to navigate. What should I do? Because the girl said at first she didn't realize that it was wrong. It didn't feel right, but she didn't realize how wrong it was. And moreover, she said it didn't feel right. That was more of a feeling within her. She didn't realize how wrong it was what he was doing. And I think in regard to fame, it's the same thing. Like you don't realize how wrong it is what the people are doing to gain your favor or to get next to you physically or whatever the case may be. So again, as this podcast is just a number of thoughts, on how younger women are over-sexualized, and even in cases where it's clear that she was the victim, she still wasn't given the benefit of the doubt. She still was, oh yeah, she could have done this and she could have done that. We don't pay attention to trends, like over all this time where her grandmother didn't believe her, and again, her parents didn't believe her. And it wasn't that the guy had threatened her and said, I'll hurt your family or nothing like that. His MO was, oh, it's our secret type of deal. So if you tell, I'll get in trouble, all that type of stuff. So she didn't. And it's tough to be victimized using your own empathy against you, because you don't have the tools to say that if this feels wrong, it is wrong for me. And it doesn't matter if the person really wants to do whatever. If it feels wrong, it is wrong. And I think that it's unfortunate that in the case of that girl, and also in the case of many, many, many others, that we don't have a lot of the tools to recognize that A, it is wrong, and B, I need to get out of this situation, or I need help getting out of this situation, or this is something that I know I can stop, or I know I need to find someone to help me make this situation stop. So I was just thinking about that, as I often do, because I'm like, it was so bothersome to me that they were just so callous and saying, oh, it couldn't have happened. Like, rape is traumatic. And again, I think about that because statistically speaking, I'll never have to worry about that. Statistically speaking, the chances of me being raped or having to concern myself with being attacked or anything like that is very, very, very low, statistically speaking. So I don't have to worry about that. But for people who do have that to consider, to then have on top of that, people don't believe you, and then have on top of that, strangers dismiss it as if somehow it's your fault. After all that time going through those situations where you're getting molested, believing that it's partially your fault because you let it happen. And at the time where you finally make it stop, now you realize how long it's been going on, and you think, this is my fault. I should have done something. I should have, made more noise. To the point where she came in the courtroom, and when she saw the guy, she almost collapsed, and she was crying. And the social worker had to help her up. Not her mother, not her father. A social worker had to help her up in the back of the courtroom and talk to her and ask her, do you still want to do this? Because had she not testified, chances are he would have went on and did it to another girl somewhere. She wasn't the first girl he had done that to. And had he not been prosecuted, she would not have been the last. And had she not been able to make a statement, nobody would have prosecuted him, because all the adults in her life were defending it or trying to wish it away. And I imagine the girls before her, their circles probably did the same thing. So I guess what I'm saying, that we have to be, and again, I'm speaking more to myself, we have to be more empathetic and more open-minded in regard to these societal issues, that we have to be willing to see that it doesn't just appear one way. And if it appears a different way, then it must be something different, or it's not true. It's still not the same. We have to examine all the evidence and all the information and make an informed decision, and not be so cold and unempathetic toward people. is just, just a note to myself to be more aware that people are living a myriad of lives and they just want to survive. And it's my feeling that I should be more empathetic, a call for more empathy, a call for more accountability as a human being. So a lot of different thoughts, a lot of different directions. And again, this is not a complete thought because, like I said, I think about it often and it kind of develops as I think more about it. So that's just my thoughts for today. And I pray that as I become more empathetic, that you consider your life and the things that are around you and you become more empathetic as well. All right.